used to ask him, talk to him about all of the relatives and stuff, and he would look at me sometimes with this look and say, well, why are you asking me? And he'd say, why are you asking me about all these dead folks? I said, well, I'm asking you because I don't know anything about them. Mm-hmm. And because, remember, both sides of my grandparents were deceased when I was born. So I don't have any memory of them, so I can only go by what somebody tells me. So who better to get the information from than the sources, you and mother. You know, I gotta get whatever I can get out of you guys. So,
no, we're not rolling right now. And that's really why I'm sitting here, because we're losing sources.
We're losing sources, man. If we don't get the information, we're not gonna have it. You know, the future generation is not gonna have it. It's just gonna die off when we die off.
Right. That's right. So.
Parents were Allen Sims Cooper and Lillie Ann Cooper.
And where were they born?
I know my mother was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I've heard that my dad was born in Marshall, Texas.
Okay. Can you tell us anything about mothers and daddies' relatives?
Daddy had, but his daddy's father, now Grandpa lived with us one time. Went to Shreveport. Grandpa did, that was Daddy's father. Name was Essex Cooper. Essex. Essex Cooper. Because Daddy had those 3 sisters. Now Daddy said he was 7 years old when his mother died from tuberculosis.
He was raised by his father and his older sister. She married quite young. I believe they said she was 13 when she married, and she took over where my father's uncle left off, because he was left with my uncle when my grandfather had to go on. He worked for the Southern Pacific Railway, and he would be gone for maybe like a month sometimes at a time. And my father's uncle cared for him until my aunt, which was my father's sister, married.
And then it was after that, then it was Aunt O'Reilly, Aunt Beast, Daddy, and Aunt Singing. And Singing was Laura. She was Laura. That was her name, Laura, but she told a story about when she was a young woman. She was singing in the choir at church. And she said that some kind of way, you know how they rafters like the steps going up to, when they're singing in the choir. And Aunt Singer said some kind of way she tripped. She said, because when she fell and she hurt herself and she hollered, and somebody in the church said, "Sing, baby." And said from that time on, she was Sing Baby. And that's what she was known as, Singing. And her name was Laura.
So not all the family members left Louisiana to come to California. I know Lally stayed there.
Nobody from mother's side.
Okay.
Lally stayed. Now, Lally stayed. Annie stayed. Uncle Oscar stayed.
Now, when did Uncle Oscar end up here?
Uncle Oscar.
Because as far as I can remember, he's always been in California.
Well, Uncle Oscar, he was drafted into the military, and he did his time in the military. And y'all never heard the story about when he was in Germany? You never heard that story either, Charles? Uncle Oscar did time in Germany in the military.
I know he served in the military, I just didn't know where he went.
He stayed in Germany. And I remember when Uncle Oscar got out of the military, it was when they were singing a song about, well, they was, because I was a big girl then. I mean, I can remember that well. But they were talking about VJ Day, or no, Victory, VE Day, or some kind of day. Was saying the war was over in Germany.
Yeah. So after Uncle Josh got out of the military, did he come directly to California?
Came directly to California and stayed with us.
Okay.
We were living in Pico Garden then.
Oh, okay. Well, that was even before I was born.
Oh, y'all, baby, you was still floating around in heaven then. That's for all of y'all.
Daddy had three sisters, and a lot of people didn't know that he had a brother too, whose name was Arnold. And when they were young kids, my auntie Aunt Vies and Arnold were having a fight, and she picked up a cast iron skillet and hit him in the head, and it killed him. You know, I don't think it was an intentional thing for her to do, but if you hit somebody over the head with a cast iron skillet, it's a high probability that you're going to do some damage to them. You know, but I don't think she intended for it to happen. And Arnold was named after Daddy's grandfather, who was Arnold Cooper, you know, and then Arnold had Essex, and then Essex had Allen, you know, and Arnold the second. So that's what happened with him. And just so that everybody knows a little bit of history and their background and stuff, you know, tragedies happen in a lot of families and stuff, you know, and ours is not immune from tragedy, you know, so that was just a tragic experience that happened.
Her mother's father's name was William Joshua. And her mother's name was Polly Robinson Joshua. Then Uncle Bill, his name, Uncle Bill was William Joshua Jr. Uncle Eddie was Eddie Joshua. And then after Uncle Bill, then there was Annie. Her name was Lulabelle Joshua. And mother, and then Uncle Oscar, Lally, after Uncle Oscar. And then Uncle Jack, they called him Jack Joshua, but his name was Frank Gifford Joshua.
Frank Gifford?
Frank Gifford Joshua. That was his name. And that's what he named his son, Frank Gifford Joshua Jr. Mm-hmm. And everybody called him Jack, and then they called him Jack Joshua and Jack Joshua Jr.
And you had 9 brothers and sisters?
9 brothers and sisters from mom and dad, and then dad had 4 daughters prior to, you know. And the oldest one, like I said, was born in 1919, if I'm not mistaken.
First, there's Marguerite, Ada, Rosetta, Dorothy, Virginia, Marie, Louise, Bernice.
Then Allen Jr.
It was always Junior. Now, I remember the day Junior was born because you would hear people in the neighborhood running up down the street yelling, "Cooper got a boy, Cooper got a boy, it's a boy. Cooper got a boy, he got a boy." And I could hear that noise. It's a boy, Cooper got a boy, Cooper got a boy, Cooper got, because they called him Cooper, they called him Cooper. Cooper got a boy, oh, he got that boy. Cooper got that boy. And them people was running and screaming and hollering and like they was at a baseball game or something.
And then Winston, Diane, and then Don, who we affectionately call Chubby. You know, he didn't like that name after he got to be a certain age. He wanted to move away from that.
Alice, and Dale.
So
Fun?
You had a lot of fun. Having
Oh,
fun.
oh yeah, very much. Very. I don't see how anybody can have one child. You know, you gotta have some siblings.
I
Oh,
know there's a wide age range.
mm-hmm.
Did certain groups tend to hang out more with each other when you were younger?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The three older girls, Dolly was too young, but once she got older, I guess she could hang out with them. She had her own group. What do they call themselves? The Blue Flames or Hollywood Flames or something like that. They had their little jackets on. This is Dolly's club. But Jenny, Marie, and Louise, plus one of their cousins, Viola. Oh, that's another crazy one. But they all hung out together.
I wanted to correct something that I also learned as I got to be a teenager, and mother told me this, and that was that Viola was not our cousin. Okay, Viola was actually Daddy's sister, and that was Mr. Essex. That's what mother called my grandfather, was Mr. Essex. That was his child, and that's why Viola, with her crazy self, used to tell us, "I'm your auntie. I'm your auntie." You know, she used to say all of that. So, and I accepted it because I had heard it before. You know, when she started, by the time Viola started saying that, I had already heard it, so it was no shock to me to learn. I said, "Well, mother had already told me."
Me, naturally, with juniors. Then Dale, Dawn, Alice. Well, Diane didn't hang out with anybody, did she? She was a tweener. She didn't. I don't remember any of her people used to hang out with.
Me, I had outside friends because the next person to me would have been Don, who was a boy. He didn't want to hang out with girls, and I didn't want to hang out with him. And then Alice was too young, so I had to get an outside friend. So I couldn't pair with any sibling.
If you can, go down the line of your brothers and sisters and just tell me a little bit about each of them.
Oh, goodness. Well, let's see, Jenny. Very nice, but she was a little bit kind of, maybe I wouldn't say, well, sickly, but I think she had tuberculosis or maybe something like that. Marie, whew, headstrong. Look out, don't cross her, because she would get you. Louise, kind of calm. Dolly, calm. They're a junior, headstrong. He's another one. Me, then there was me, then Dale, and Don. Now those two hung out a lot together. Then let's see, Diane. Diane was nice and quiet. Alice. Alice was funny, because if something moved under its own power, she didn't want nothing to do with it. Any kind of animal, I don't care if it was a little bug. Ah! I was over there one day. I had some ducks. The duck, I guess he was stretching, you don't go. He's whipping all this dirt. Alice, ah! So what do you think? He's out there whipping up all that dirt. So he's just stretching, But me, I was kind of, teasing animals, Had my hand out for the duck to come up, right? Here comes the duck. Starts eating. Just grab his beak. He couldn't do it. I'd let him go. I wouldn't hurt him or nothing. Chicken. I took a chicken. Because, it's hard to catch a chicken. I mean, it's almost impossible. A chicken can run fast. I don't know how I caught him, but I tied a string around his foot. And I threw it out there so he could run. I go out there to chase him. I said, no, all I got to do now is pull you back. So I went over there one day, this big old red chicken, big red, I guess he was a rooster. And Coop was out there. So I said, okay, I took the chicken, I don't know why I had him, but I put him back out in the yard. And when I put him in the yard, the chicken sort of spread his feathers, and he was coming at me sideways like this. He was doing something like this. Vincent told me, he says, look out, Pete, he's coming at you. I told him, I see him. I see him coming up there. I either had a badminton racket or a broom handle or something. That chicken came up there, whack, gave him a backhand. And that chicken see me coming out there from then on. That chicken would take off. Coop said, don't hurt him, son, don't hurt him. Yeah. Oh, Dad said, don't hurt him.
I noticed as you were mentioning your brothers and sisters, only Junior and Dollar seem to have nicknames.
Yeah.
And I know
And me?
Junior was obviously because
Yeah, he was a
that
junior. Well, Virginia was, she was Jenny, but that's from her name.
Right.
She was Virginia. Marie was just Marie. Louise, she didn't have any nickname.
And the Jenny and Marie used to get mad at me, and they would call me Butternose. You know what? You got a big nose. And they called me that, you Butternose. Get out of here, Butternose. And that's what they did. Jenny and Marie would say that. Then they go with your big eyes. You got big pop eyes. Now, I think they said Mama started saying that, Dolly, when she was little. When she was little, started walking around and stuff, and they said, Mama called her Dolly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Someone else, they called her Archie at one point.
Lally called her Archie. And Lally used to tell about a comic strip she used to read in the Sunday funny papers. And she said there was a little old something, and a little bitty old short man in there. And he was a little bitty short man. And she told me, all right, she reminded me of Archie. His name was Archibald. And Lila would tell her, hey, Archie. And there's Archie. She called her Archie when she was grown, and she came out here. Lila called her Archie. And, because Lila, she called Junior Brown Sugar. Now, she named Junior Brown Sugar when he was a little baby. That's Lally Brown Sugar. And that's what she always called him. And when she would come out here and he'd tell her he'd be back I'm going to get you some Cokes and some cigarettes. I'll be back this evening. And then she'd sit on the porch and laugh. I think Brown Sugar done told me another lie this evening. You ain't coming back. She go, he ain't coming back. And I said, no, he ain't coming back. Then she go, well, I don't get mad at him, but y'all the ones can make me mad at y'all. You see y'all, these old girls, y'all done got grown and stuff, and y'all married and all that, and then you're going to try to say something about him. I said, well, he did. I said, well, I ain't going to get mad at him, but I'll get mad at y'all. I said, well, get mad at him. If he the one that's doing it, get mad at him. And then she sit there and laugh. Brown Sugar, when he come back, he going to bring it. He going to bring whatever he said he was going to bring. When he holler, I'll be right back, I'm going to get you. She said, well, I wouldn't see him no more for a couple of days. And he'll bring it. Wow. But y'all, you see, y'all get ugly when y'all do something. Y'all do, you old girls, y'all. But Junior, he don't do me like y'all do me. I said, oh, come on.
Dolly, me, I was Pete. You know how I got mine? I was 5 years old, whenever those teeth came out, and they started coming back in, those two. I said, oh, you got those rabbit teeth. So she started calling me Peter Rabbit. Yeah, that was shortened to Peter Boy. And then just shortened to Pete, and that's how I arrived at Pete. Mm-hmm. Let's see, Don, no, they didn't have any nicknames. Chubby. Yeah, he was chubby. Dale. No, he didn't call him too much. Chubby Don had a nickname. He called him Hook. And let's see, Alice. What? Oh man, that Don, that boy, he should have been a comedian, 'cause he was really good. What did he call Alice? Fatty there, or something like that. That boy, you talk about somebody to make you laugh. You have to get him to tell you about, oh, that boy was funny.
There were other residences in Louisiana?
After we moved off of Stonewall, then we moved to West Shreveport. We went to a house on Kenneth Avenue. I remember that address, 1573 Kenneth Avenue in West Shreveport. But I remember when we moved off of Kenneth Avenue, and then we moved on Marion Street, and then we moved to Woodard Avenue. That's where we were living, on Woodard Avenue. When we moved to California, we were living on Woodard Avenue. 2103 Woodard Avenue.
It's a good memory.
That was the address, 2103 Woodard Avenue. Winston said he remembers that. But I remember. Junior Winston, well, naturally, Junior's gone. But Winston said he remembers when we lived on Woodard Avenue, because Uncle Oscar was still staying in the house that my grandmother had. She passed that. And Annie was their mother's oldest sister. She was in that house too. And Uncle Oscar was staying there too. And when we moved to California.
I mean, I don't even know how I got here from Louisiana, you know, I mean, it looked like I just woke up one day and we were over there in Pico, you know, I couldn't have been over 2, 3 years old, so I don't remember how we got there or nothing.
And V's and they singing. They gonna make it so whatever they did, they would put Daddy in it. His 3 sisters. And so when they had made up this thing to move to California, where they had, under some of it I heard, so where they have jobs, plenty of jobs, and you could get a job making a lot of money and stuff. And so when they decided they were gonna do it, and then they took their only brother along with them. So I guess him and Mother made that decision that he go too, because they all left in their cars and singing Uncle Ernest, Aunt Real and Uncle Jules, and Aunt Beast and Mr. Lott. And he got a job or something. And he said he was working at the railroad, what he called it, the roundhouse, over there, here in California, whatever it is. He said that's where he got his first job. Now after that, then he went to work for Swift Packing Company. Daddy would send the money to Mother every week. She was getting money from him, because she would get the money, and remember, she would pay bills and buy groceries and pay the rent and all that stuff. Now, that was like when they left in August. And then in September, they was talking about we have to go.
Was it just job opportunities or?
Job opportunities, along with the fact that my father, we lived during the time when Jim Crow was really rampant in the South, and he was a little ahead of his time. He just couldn't take it anymore. Looking down, I remember when my brothers were younger and they would get into some type of trouble, he would tell them, stand up and look me in the eyes. and you talk to me. You don't put your head down. It was really, really something that he had a problem with. Even I understand when he was in Louisiana, if the white bosses or whoever would speak with him, he always looked them directly in the eyes, and they didn't like that. But he never stopped, and it would frighten my mother. So therefore, she said, you know, one of these days we have to get away from here. She was always afraid for him.
Did he ever have any problems that you know of, or?
Yes, I understand that he had quite a few run-ins with bosses and things. Nothing that they called the law about. It was just things that he couldn't just look over. He had to really deal with them. He always believed in going directly to the source, and that's what he did.
And it's strange because I can remember Daddy telling me why that he moved to California. You know, and I was like, so why did you move to California? He said, because he happened to be walking on the railroad tracks, you know, walking on the railroad tracks. He said the only light that was outside was the moonlight. Yeah, he was coming home, and this cop came up on him on a horse and told him, boy, where you going? He said, I'm going home. He said, boy, where you going? I'm going home. He said, stop. You know, so Daddy said he stopped. The cop was getting off of his horse, but instead of him getting off his horse with his leg over the horse this way where he could keep his eyes on Daddy, he turned his back and got off the horse that way. And Daddy said, and when he got off the horse with his back to me, when he hit the ground, I had my gun on him. I said, what? He said, I had my gun on him, and I told him, you get back up on that horse. He said, you drop that gun, you got to get back up on that horse, and you better ride, and you better not look back, you son of a bitch. You better not look back. He said that cop was so scared, he jumped on the horse and took off. Never looked back. And he said that's when he knew he had to get out of Louisiana, because they would have killed him if they had found, you know, who it was and everything. But my understanding is that he left first. He moved to California first, and then he sent for the family afterwards. They came back, and then they came out. But that was around 1942. Of course, I was nowhere to be thought of back then, but that's when it happened. And then when you get ready to take a bath, they're pouring water into this tin tub sitting in the middle of the kitchen floor. And I'm like, what's this? Come on, boy, you got to get in here and take a bath. I'm like, I ain't getting in there. What is that? You got to get in here and take a bath. Oh, no, I'm going up to Uncle Jack's house to take a bath. I ain't taking no bath in that. So I'd go out, you know, and Uncle Jack lived right around the corner, so go out, go over there. Same Mary Bell said I could come over here anytime I want to and take a bath, you know. So I'd go over there, take my bath over there, man. I wasn't getting in no tin tub to bathe, you know.
My brother, June, I'll never forget this. I was laying down. We didn't have a television during that time. And I must have been about 3 or 4. Well, this is how I learned to read, actually. On Sunday evening, they used to have a Sunday newspaper. And in the funnies, as we call them, they were the comic strips, and they were in color. And they would have Maggie and Jiggs, and they would have Blondie and Dagwood, all those different things that you probably know nothing about. But anyway, I was down on the rug listening to the radio. This was on a Sunday. My brother June came in the house, and he saw me lying there. So he stepped over me, over my body. He didn't have to, but he did. And when he did it, he put his hands up. He's, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said, what? He said, oh man, I'm so sorry. He said, that means you're not going to grow anymore. I said, what? He said, yeah, if you find a person laying on the rug and somebody steps over him, that means you're going to be a dwarf. You won't grow anymore. I believed him. And I had a fit. I started screaming. My mother came in there. She asked me, what's wrong with you? And I told her what June had said. She said, why do you tell her things like that? You know she'll believe anything you say to her. But that was just one incident. He was just just awful. And then Don, the one right below me, he had this habit of every time I got a new doll, he would pull the heads of them off. I mean, that's one reason I didn't care too much for playing with the guys. Winston, nah, he was a loner. He stuck to himself. Dale was too young, so I didn't have any problems with him. But yeah, and Alice, she was always a little girl, you know, so she never bothered me. And the others were too old, so it was okay.
So other than the cigarette incident.
Yeah, other than that.
Worse than the Little Rascal. In that same house, this guy had a peach tree. Man, that tree had some great peaches on it. No, he didn't even eat them. They'd fall to the ground, they'd rot. Hey, we just climb over there and get a peach and go on about our business, go on home, you know. This day we climbed in there, got the peach, walking home. He had gotten into his car, chasing us. We came around, oh, I got you now. I said, no, you know. We all scattered, right? So he gets back in his car and he's running. I said, look at this crazy man. You know, all he did was got on the other side of the street. He couldn't do a thing. So that's the kind of childhood I grew up in, you know. Even
Marie had a piece of candy, and I asked her to give me a piece, and she wouldn't give it to me. And so she started running, and so I got close enough to it to snatch it, and I got it. And I bit it, and I was trying to eat it, and she was chasing me. Oh, she chased me around, and we were going around in a circle about that candy. And I mean, I was gone, and we were running. And she caught me enough to hit me, and she hit me right in the back. Bam! With her hand balled up with a fist. And I said, you better not hit me no more, you black dog. Well, I don't know mother and daddy, but I know one thing. That's the time I got a whipping. I know I got mother whipped me good for that. I don't know whether daddy, and now though daddy said, I don't know whether daddy might have got him a lick in too, because I remember crying that day, and daddy said, daddy said, don't you ever let me hear you say that word again. And you don't call nobody, your sisters and nobody, you don't call nobody no black dog. That's your sister. And because, I mean, and he said, you come and tell somebody if she do something to you. You come and tell somebody, your mother and me, we're right here at this house. And if she did something to you that bad, you come and tell us. Don't you try to do nothing. He said, you know, better not call, and Daddy that was his word, you don't call nobody out of their name.
Did anybody tell you how you got here?
Yes, we came by train.
Oh, okay.
My two brothers, Winston and Allen Jr., we came by train with my mom. My dad had already left to come here and set up housekeeping for her.
Do you remember how you felt when they told you were moving?
I must have bawled cried like I don't know what, when Mother had to leave us, and Mother, Diane, Junior, and Winston, and they came here on the train. And I was crying. I thought that I want Mother. And I was crying. I couldn't stop crying. And Uncle Oscar said, Well, I remember Uncle Oscar was fussing, and you stop that, got your big mouth, 'cause your mama, well, I'm glad she's gone, because y'all always run around, mother, mother. And that's what he was saying. She need to do something sometime, he said. So, you ain't got no kids. That's my mama. Oh, I must have cried so long. I thought they was going to have to put me in a box somewhere. And me, Dolly, Marie and Jenny, Daddy had a friend, Mr. Grantham. He was a realtor. His name was Grantham Realtor or something. But Daddy paid him to bring us to California. Me, Jenny, Marie, and Dolly. Jenny, Marie, me, and Dolly. And that's when we came here in that car. And he took us to St. Vincent's house because that's where Mother and them were. And that's where we stayed till we moved to Pico Garden.
Okay, I remember when we moved here. Oh, what was I? I was about 10 or 11 months old, and I remember we moved into a brand new housing project in East Los Angeles, and um, it was it was a nice place. We had 4 bedrooms upstairs, but with so many kids, we had 1 bathroom, which was always kind of, a problem. But it was nice. We lived there for 13 years.
I remember that we had what they call the first and the second playground. And if you ever went to the second playground, oh boy, you thought you died and went to heaven, because they had more activities and stuff going on over there. So, you felt like you were really doing something special going over to the second playground.
Was the second playground further away from the home, or?
It really wasn't that far. It just, everything when you're that age seems like it's really far. And across across 4th Street, Pico Gardens was here, but across 4th Street was Aliso Village. And I can remember that Winston and Junior used to take me over there where they played basketball in the gym, because that's where the gym was. Aliso had the gym, and Pico didn't have one, so that was a lot of fun too.
So you got to
Do stairs and yeah, but it was a great life. Like especially back to Pico Gardens, we got our first TV. Oh man, the whole neighborhood would come over our house on Wednesdays, watch wrestling matches, and then they had started doing roller derby. Man, nobody would miss that. We'd be sitting around our house, and Scott, oh yeah, one Coop's other, his daughters we had before. One of them's husband, Ada's husband, he loved that wrestling. We'd be sitting there, how they take guys and flip them over. He'd jump up and you go, whip, and he just start laughing, whip, woo, woo, whip, whip, whip. I said, look at this guy. It was like a party. Before we got the TV, though, there was a guy named Mr. Rainey. He had a hot dog stand over on where Bernard used to live. Right in front of their house, there was a big field, but he had built a hot dog stand out there in the lot. He put a little set of bleachers. And he had his TV out there. Now to make his TV big screen, he had a big magnifying glass sitting in front of it. We could sit out there, we'd eat some hot dogs, and watch that wrestling, and buy that stuff from Mr. Rainey. Yeah. But we had good experiences growing up. I'm going backwards now.
Okay, he worked for, I remember as a child, he worked for this man. His name was, it was a company. I don't remember the company's name, but I remember the boss's name was Von Schnabel. And he had, yeah, something like that. I may be pronouncing it wrong. But he was an interior decorator. And he would lay carpet. He would put blinds up. Um, he did everything in the house so far as decorating.
And did your mother ever work, or?
She would work every now and then. She would do housekeeping at different times, but nothing steady.
Were you ever involved in that, or
No,
no?
no,
You didn't have to go help out with?
no, never did.
And she did some domestic work for some Jewish people. You know, remember when school here, there was a large Jewish community. Just some mother would go up there and work, and like they would, like people say that she did day work, but what else? Right. So she would go, and so I remember sometimes she would tell me, come go with her. One time she took me and Marie with them. Because one of the ladies that she had been working for, and she told mother she had some clothes. Yeah, and she could say, and mother could see them, and if other would want to buy them, then she would sell them to mother. And that she would sell them to her at a reduced price. Mother took me and Marie with her that day. And she looked, the lady was going to have a sale. And she pulled out her stuff and out of her clutch, she said, come on. And she took us back in that room. Me and Marie and mother. Now, me and Marie, just like two fools, looked at that lady's stuff and smelled, said it was smelling like mothballs, and started laughing. And we just broke out laughing. And mother, she was giving us the look at, she said, stop that. And the old lady said, no, honey, let them laugh. Let them laugh. They're young. She said, just let them laugh. But mother gave us a look. But me and Marie couldn't stop laughing because it was smelling like mothballs up in there. And them clothes that they had been packed up in there where they was for so long. And they had a funny smell. And we were talking about that, how old we were saying. And we told them, whisper, yeah, that's the old folks' clothes. That's the old folks' clothes. And we just started laughing. And my mother laughed too, and we left that one going home. We were walking home. And because they were in walking distance to the house. And she laughed too. And when we was talking about that, that's just smell like mothballs up in there. And it smelled like it had been packed down under something for a long time, and it got that smell to it. Then I don't want none of more coats that lady had up there. Like, you know, she must have had packed in a trunk or something. I don't know where it was. But we laughed. We didn't get nothing. Mother didn't buy nothing, and she didn't give us nothing.
Yeah. You know, I'm sitting there thinking about Coop. Boy, he sure taught responsibility, you know, and I don't know how he did it. He only one worked, and all of us to take care of, and the wife, you know, and we must have been poor, but I don't feel like we were poor or nothing, because we didn't want for anything, so I don't know how he did it. He sure taught you some life lessons, you know. Son, there's no such thing as something for nothing, things like that, you know. Be a man of your word. Nobody can ever take that away from you. She taught us to work for whatever we need. Now, junior high school, I used to help him, me and Junior, we'd help him go clean up this restaurant over on Olympic Boulevard, East Olympic, just east of that Sears building. at Sears, and we clean it up. Now, we get $12 for doing that. Man, I had so much money. In junior high school, I'm walking around 15, 20 bucks in my pocket, you know. I said, boy, this is not, hated doing it, because he'd wake us up like 2 o'clock in the morning, because he wanted to, you know, get over there and get that done. But we'd go. He said, no, you guys go and get in one of these boots and you're going back to sleep. So he let us sleep till 6:30. Then get up, we're in the restaurant. Me in the restaurant, and all those donuts and milk sitting there. Then get me some donuts and milk, fill up. Now I'm ready to go. Now, you know. We'd sweep up the place, and you know, wax the floors and polish them all up. Shoot, man, that was some good stuff. And it seemed like it was forever that we were doing that, but it was probably only for 2-3 months. You know, when you're a kid, a month is a long time, but now years just go by just like nothing. But he taught us, you know, work for whatever you want, you know, I don't know. And he worked. He became a carpet installer. I used to help him do that. You know, that Crenshaw Carpet Center. And boy, he's an old man, but he could lift those big 300 rolls of carpet up. He'd help him. We'd install. You actually installed our carpet, right, Dale? I mean, wall to wall. See, when I was helping him, I didn't know anything about wall to wall. Yes, okay, so we got to take this to make this delivery over wherever. All we have to do is just roll the rug, put the pad and roll the rug out. No wall-to-wall installation, you know. So that was easy, but I think Dale learned how to do the real thing with the stretchers and all that stuff.
All right. So after you graduate high school, I know I talked to your brother Winston, and he mentioned that your daddy, he would take him and your other brother out to work with them. Did that ever fall on you, or you being the youngest? Did that pass you by?
Absolutely fell on me, but it was long before high school that it happened for me. Actually, I was in junior high school when he used to take me and your cousin Ronnie and Walter. We'd all go on Saturdays to lay carpet with him. So they'd come over, spend the night, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're getting up, which is why I tell Winston to this day, that's why I get up so early, is because Daddy would make me get up. You know, we got to go install this carpet, which I hated. I did not like that. I did not like that job, but you know, it taught me a trade, which if I had wanted to pursue it, I probably could have done a lot with it, because he gave me all of his tools and everything. And I knew how to do the carpet work. It was just that it was such physical work, and I didn't like that hard physical work like that, you know. But I could do a good job of installing carpet, you know. I learned how to, back in the day before they came out with the iron, where you ironed a seam, you used to have to hand sew a seam. And Daddy, what made you get good is if you sewed the seam and it wasn't straight, he'd make you take it loose and sew it again. And then he'd give you little practice shots too. You know, he'd tell you to take this piece over there and go over and practice. So you practice sewing the seam. Then after you get it, you pull it apart, look at it. And the trick was, he wanted you to get it to where you couldn't see the seam in the carpet. So you'd have to cut it loose. But I was only doing like about maybe 2 feet at a time. And you would sew the seam, and finally when I got good enough, you start getting that seam in there, and you put that stretcher on there. Once you stretched it out and you took the carpet and ruffled it back up and made it stand, you couldn't see the seam in there. It was pretty good.
Daddy, He loved to play the horses. He he would spend time. He was a big believer in astronomy, and he said that the stars and every all the planets, they directed your path. That's the way he believed. But anyway, he he was a horse player, and he and my mother, they loved to go to the roller derby. They loved it. Yeah,
Did you ever go with them to horse races or roller derby?
never, never.
Mm.
I never did. As a matter of fact, they never asked us. I mean, that was their thing that they liked to do on Saturday evening. They would go to the roller derby.
Now, mother and daddy, as in later years, they were sports fans because they loved
Cool.
roller skating. And where there used to be this thing called roller derby.
Correct.
And mother and daddy used to go to roller derby on Saturday nights. Saturday nights, they would go to roller derby.
The Olympic Auditorium, the Shrine Auditorium, one of those.
Olympic Auditorium,
One of them. Been
9th and Grand.
tell me. And
Mother and daddy used to go to the roller derby.
too much.
And sometimes when you would be in the house watching them watch it, then they start working with the TV and why didn't so-and-so do? They knew all of their names. They knew every one of them. Why didn't such and such a thing? Why didn't she bump her out of there? Why didn't he? So that was their hobby, going to the roller derby.
Well,
They liked that.
Joven with the
And they liked watching the wrestling match on television. Now, Daddy was a baseball fan. Daddy liked to watch television. He watched baseball, or he listened to it on the radio.
before I got the habits, hobbies.
The biggest habit and hobby that I remember him having was roller derby. Man, they used to take me to the roller derby games, until I figured out that, because I having the older brothers and sisters, you figure things out a lot sooner, and it's like, man, that stuff is fake. That stuff is fake. They used to always tell me it was fake, and I didn't want to believe it was fake until you see somebody get hit over the head with a chair, and no blood, no ambulance, nothing. They get hit over the head, then they get up, and then they start skating again or whatever, and it's like, So, but that was their biggest hobby. I remember going to the Olympic down there on Olympic and Grand. We'd go there. Then they'd go to the sports arena because they used to skate over at the sports arena. Those were the two places that I remember the most going to see roller derby. And Daddy used to be the funniest person because he would get out of his seat and run down to the rails and be fussing with the skaters and everything. It was so funny to watch him doing all that stuff, boy. He was a funny guy, because
It was real to him.
it was very real to him. It was very real. Then he'd get up, boy, and he'd run down there. He'd be all in their faces and stuff, So, yeah, that was good times. And then he would take us, and he bought this Cadillac, 59 Cadillac when he retired. And we used to call it the Blade. That thing was sharp, but it was convertible, and he used to take the car, and we would drive to Mexico. We'd go down to Tijuana, and he would take us to San Diego. But if he took us to San Diego, you better believe he was going across the border to Tijuana because Caliente was down there, and that was a racetrack. And Daddy loved to play the horses, so.
Now, mother she was very religious, and she enjoyed that as much as anything she's ever done was going to church.
Oh, yeah. St. Paul Baptist Church. Yeah, she went there. Actually, when she started going to St. Paul, they were over on, I think it was it Ascot or 22nd and Griffin. Yeah, but I wasn't born then because St. Paul was being built around 1950. I came in 1951, and the church opened in 1951, from my understanding. So that's where, of course, I attended church with them, back then. Daddy didn't go too much, but Mother would take us all the time to St. Paul.
And somebody, Daddy would drive when he would go.
Yeah.
Whoever else.
And if you did drive, if Winston or Junior took Mother to church, they would drive her, drop her off, come back home. Then at 1 o'clock, you gotta get back in the car, go back and pick her up, to come home, because they didn't want to go to no church either. They wasn't thinking about no church, So, yeah, that's what you had to do. Unless somebody could go that was physically gonna stay at church with her, then she would. But we were always there to pick her up, when church was out. So
That was something that she really loved. She'd go to church, and she enjoyed that. And you know something she enjoyed that so much? And if it was on Mother's Day, we had to make it a point to go to church with her, because she was good. But in my later years, I wouldn't go to church on Mother's Day, because I remember one time after she was gone, and I went to church that Sunday. It was on Mother's Day. And I was sitting in that church, in my own church that I attend regularly. And I was sitting in there, and I said, I don't have my mama sitting here beside me. And I jumped up out of that seat. I've been sitting in church, and I just got up out of my seat and started headed for that back door. The lady, her name was Miss Chapman. She was an usher. And she grabbed me, she held me, she said, is it too much for you today? I said, yes, it is. And she said, well, you want to sit down? I said, no, I'm going home. And I went and got in the car and went home.
No. Oh boy, they told me some funny stories about her trying to learn to drive. But I've never been in the car with her driving. She's too impatient.
Oh, was that it? She was just too impatient?
I think so. She probably would have said that she could drive, but I never saw her drive.
She never drove.
Did she try and learn how to drive at any?
She did do something, and she had some of us in the car with her daddy was going to teach her how to drive. And when she got in and told her to go on, and the car was going, we were hugging her, we were laughing. She told us to get out. But
Oh, she put you out of the car.
she took all of us out. Her and Daddy was still in there, because I guess Daddy couldn't get it right. He couldn't get her to do what he wanted her to do. When she and the car was just jerking. Mother was sitting up there, and it was just jerking.
And we used to laugh at Mother trying to drive, because we were on Juniper Street, but we were down at this 9322 address at that time, and we would watch Mother while she was driving. And so when she would drive, she would just drive around the block, but we'd run along the side of it and laugh. We were all laughing because she was driving slow. And Daddy was sitting in the car, and we watched her. We made her so nervous on that last turn. She turned the corner, jumped all on the curb. Daddy was trying to get the wheel, to take the wheel off and get her, straightened back up. she started fussing at him. Once she started fussing, it was a done deal. She didn't want to drive no more. So then she had all the boys, you know, and the girls and everything that could drive. So that was their job, to drive my dear around, you know. Y'all got to take my dear here, take my dear there. That was Daddy. That's what he called her, as my dear, you know. So take my dear here, take my dear there. And they love driving, so she didn't have no problems.
Now, Daddy said that when Jenny was a little girl, and they said that, because Mother had a nickname, Mother's nickname was Skit. Her mama and all of her sisters and brothers called her Skit. And Jenny started trying to call Mother Skit too. And Mama told Daddy, you're going to have to find another name to call her other than Skit, because she can't call her Skit. That's her mother. And she cannot call her Skit. So Daddy started saying Madeira. And that's what Daddy called her from the day that then the day that he left, I guess she was still Madeira. Mm-hmm.
So it seems Mother and Daddy had different styles of parenting. You said Mother was strict.
Mother was very strict. Daddy was calm. Daddy was more calm than Mother was about. Mother, really. Daddy was kind of soft-spoken. Yeah, she was. He was. Daddy was, Daddy was kind of soft-spoken. Mother was, and Mother, she get that strap to you and that switch in a minute. Mother would bring out a switch in a minute and let you know who she was. And she meant it. So if she tell you, she had a look that she could give you, and that's what she would do, and that's the way she do. And she could give Dolly the look, and when Dolly would get the look, Dolly would say, "Oh, that's right." Some of y'all might have heard that story from Dolly.
Yeah, all right, we're going to stop for 1 second.
But he'd make you feel bad just with his words. Huh?
Now, Daddy, he could tear you apart with them words. He would tear you to pieces. So help me God, I remember Daddy saying this to me when I got pregnant. And Daddy said to me, what you have done, it is almost unforgivable because of what I have done for you and talked to you, and if I have taught you, and if you do something like that, and that is almost unforgivable. And so I guess I tried to cry everything I had in me out, and then he was the daddy that he was. And so he put the arm around and let me cry on it. And that was that. That was the end of that. So he was very that kind of person. Oh, you want me to tell you right now?
Yeah.
Well, we were some little kids, and Dolly must have been about, she must have been about 3. No. She must have been 5 at that time, and I was 7. And so we were coming home, walking home in the back there by the house, coming back. And so I told, we getting a little closer to the house, because we had been to a store where they had candy and all that junk and stuff. And so we were good, getting closer to home, and I picked up a stick. And I said, Dolly, you better get ready to run, because I'm going to hit this thing here, and them bees going to come out. And when we got close enough, and I went, whop, and took off, and she started right behind me because I guess they'd all come out then. As many of them that was coming out, we kept on running, and she was just crying, Louise, wait for me, I'm going to tell Mother on you. I said, run. Well, and the bee had stung her. And we ran in, and we went through the back there crying. She was crying. I wasn't crying. But we got in, and so Ariel put that snuff on Dolly, and so Mother got her calmed down, and so I got quiet too. I knew I didn't have nothing else to say that day. You can't open your mouth today because you're going to get a whipping, you know. That was my thinking. If I start talking, she's going to come out with one of them switches. So I had to keep quiet.
Well, starting with the older girls, oh, they were a bunch. I mean, Marie and Virginia and Louise, they were very, very daring. That was during the time when, you know, smoking was supposed to be fashionable. And I went upstairs one day, I must have been about 4 or 5, and they were in the bedroom smoking. They were sneaking, they were teenagers. And of course, me being a little girl, I'm gonna tell Mother, you know. So they told me, they said, come here, come here. They said, don't tell Mother that. No, you don't want to tell Mother. Come here, you want to smoke? And I said, yeah. So they put the cigarette in my mouth and told me to inhale it. And I swallowed all that smoke and had the worst coughing fit you ever seen. They started pounding me in the back, and oh my goodness, they hung me out the window and started patting me, and I was just choking. My eyes were red, you know, I felt like I was going to pass out. So when they finally got me under control, you know what they told me? They said, if you tell Mother that we were smoking, you're going to be in trouble too because you were smoking. I was 4 or 5, mind you. So that's how they neutralized me.
Then growing up over there, I can remember some stories of Daddy, because I had a hard head. You know, my head was pretty hard. You know, and I didn't listen and I didn't learn. But we had a neighbor named Mr. Brown that lived across the street from us, and I believe that Mr. Brown is the one that told Daddy that you need to keep the boys out of the vacant lot down there, because I caught them climbing those power lines. We used to climb the power lines, go way up there. Now, you know, you're young and you don't know that you could have got fried. You could have got fried up there, but we would climb up these things pretty high, you know, and I mean, go up to those ladders and stuff, you know. I never went completely to the top, but I went to the second tier. It was only 3 tiers. I went to the second tier. And I mean, from up there, you could see everything around the whole city of Los Angeles from up there. And so we would love to go down there and play baseball, but whenever we finished playing baseball, we got into mischief. Well, Daddy didn't want me down there. And I can remember this one Saturday, I was down there playing baseball, and he said, Chubby, go down there and tell Dale I said to come home. I don't want him down there in that power line. We right in the middle of our game, and here he comes. He used to like to be the police, you know. He'd come down and grab you, and Daddy said come home, you know, and you can't be down here. And I didn't want to go, but then I had to go, you know. So I'd come home. Yeah, Dad, I told you I don't want you down there. I said, okay, all right. So we'd sit down and we'd have everybody over the house. He'd get busy in the conversation. I'd sneak back out the door, and I'm back down there playing baseball. You know? So Daddy said, Chubby, go down there and get your brother and tell him I said come home. So he'd come down and get me again. And Daddy look at you and say, Sonny boy, I don't know what it's going to take for you to stay from down there. I told you I don't want you down there. Now, you go in the room there and you stay in the room. Don't you come out of that room no more today. Now I'm on punishment, so I can't come out. But they start entertaining and doing what they're doing in another room. I sneak out the window. So I go down there again because I was hard-headed, man. And I think about that. It's like, dang, why didn't I just stay home like I should have? But I went down again, and the third time, here comes Chucky coming to get me again. And I said, oh, man, I know I'm be in trouble this time. And, you know, Daddy didn't really believe in spanking you. His spankings were funny, you know. And so I got home. Sonny boy, I don't know what it's going to take for you. I know. So he had concocted this thing in his head, what he thought was going to make me stay from down there. I tell you what, Alice, go in there and get your dress and bring it. I didn't have any idea what he was doing with this dress, but he told me, put the dress on. And I said, put the dress on? Daddy, I don't want to put no dress on. Put the dress on. I said, for what? He said, you want to go down there and play baseball, so put the dress on and you can go down there and play baseball. Oh, Daddy, I don't want to put no dress on. I'm crying. You're too hard-headed. You just don't listen. So put the dress on and then you can go down there and play ball. I put the dress on. What did I do? I went in the bedroom, got in the bed under the cover because, you know, I'm being ridiculed. Now everybody in the house sees me walking out with a dress on and I'm getting in the bed. Lesson learned. When your dad tell you to do something, pay attention to him because he gonna figure something out that's gonna work. The talking and all that stuff never worked for me. So when he got it, this dress will probably do the trick. It did the trick for me.
Uh-oh, I'm sitting here smiling. I just thought of another story. God. You know, when I was a kid, very imaginative, right? Very imaginative. So, I must have been, I don't know, 9, 10 years old, somewhere right around there. Summertime. You know, we were outdoor kids. We would eat and we'd get outside, we're playing. So it's dusk, you know, it's just starting to get dark. We're playing tag. And we were playing, this guy was chasing me and he was chasing Junior. His name was Fred. Now this guy named Benjamin, he's always telling us, yeah man, every night at midnight, Fred goes up in those hills right above the freeway and he turns into a zombie. You know, me being, you know, I mean, I believed it, you know. I mean, dang, every night, Fred turns into a zombie. All right, so this night we're playing tag. Fred's chasing me and Junior. He was it. Now, my brother-in-law, Allen Moore, you know Allen, he had a big dump truck parked out in front. So Fred's chasing us. Junior hits the front of that truck on the fender, boom, jumps up on top of the cab, boom, off the other side, and he's gone. I did the same thing, boom, 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 gone, you know. Here comes Fred. Fred jumps up there on the fender, slips off. He hit his head on that concrete. Oh, man. Clunk. Now he's lying out there. He's shaking, foaming at the mouth, eyes rolled all up in the back. I'm saying, here comes Benjamin. He looks, Fred, dead. He's turning into a zombie. Boy, when he said that, I was gone, hit that back door. It's a good thing we didn't lock the doors. Boy, I hit that door and I was in that house. Just go sit up under mother. Just, what have you done? I ain't did nothing. But boy, that guy said he's turned into a zombie. I didn't know. I thought he was turned, because he's laying out there. Can't see nothing but the white. Well, it turned out poor Fred was an epileptic. We didn't know that, And I guess hitting his head on that concrete out there, that triggered one of his spells, seizures to come on. But I didn't know that. All I knew, he turned into a zombie. I'm out of here.
I would say sometimes, I wish I was an only child, because I had friends that were only children, and they seemed like they, had everything they ever wanted. But then I learned a lesson, because after we started to grow up, those same friends told me, said, I used to love to come to your house. They said, because you had all your family there, all your sisters and brothers, and you guys had so much fun. And it didn't dawn on me then, but boy, I appreciate them now. I really do. So just love one another and appreciate what you have.
We sit down and, we make jokes about things, how life is, and you start getting older and everything. And I remember a line in a movie that Eddie Murphy did called Life. And in that movie, Eddie Murphy was talking to his buddy Claude, and he said, Claude, you know what? We on deck. And Claude said, on deck? What you talking about, man? He said, we on deck for the upper room. He said, we gonna be getting out of here. Well, if we don't give the information, pass the information from generation down to generation, it's gonna get lost. And then the kids won't know. So that's what you have to do. Is at 67 years old myself now, 80 is not within reach. I mean, it's not far away, so, and both my parents lived in their 80s. So I'm hoping that I can get to 80, at least, and then some. But you have to start thinking that your window is closing, so the information has to be put forth, and this is how it's done. So, cool.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that you'd want to pass on or mention to the family, just an ending, or just anything you just want to say to them.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah. Just keep on doing what we're doing, staying out of trouble. We haven't had anything like this, so just keep that up, keep passing that on, and working. Have you enjoy your life. You don't know how long you're gonna be here, so you gotta, work. But you got, in addition to the work, you got to take time out to do a little playing too. I mean, it really clears your mind, to get away from whatever it is you do every day. Then you come back, you're ready to go.
You all know how much you are loved on this day. You know that. All of you know. If you're looking at this, you should know how much you are loved on this day. And so, don't ever forget it. And we have so much, and people talking about leaving a legacy. Well, our parents and your grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-parents, They left a legacy of love for all of us.
Very rich.
A very rich legacy of love. And so I'm asking you to carry that on from now on. Y'all got to carry that on too. Because that was left for you. And so for all of us to keep that and live with it and share it.
Some of your nieces and nephews have a vague recollection of your brothers singing or being in a singing group.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any information that you can shed on this?
Well, they definitely had a singing group. I mean, that was during the early 50s, and everybody had a group, whether they could sing or not. And they would sing on street corners, they would sing under the lamppost, anywhere where they could be heard, they would sing. And my brothers, it was June and Winston, it was Bernard, my husband, and it was this other guy, they called him Sleepy, and then this other boy, they called him Ivy, and they all formed a group. And they actually cut a record, and the man told them that the record wasn't going to fly until one day, one of my friends, she was very excited because we used to go and listen to them practice. And she came running, she says, Diane, she said, they're playing June's record. They're playing this song. I said, what song? You know, and she told me. I don't remember the name of the song though, but anyway, she told me that they were playing it on the radio. So I rushed home and I told June, I said, they're playing your record on the radio. This DJ, his name was Hunter Hancock, and he played all the R&B songs. And anyway, they started listening and listening. So then my father came home from work, and my brother June told him that Hunter Hancock had played his record. Well, the producer, his name was Dootsy Williams, and Dootsy was a crook, and he had scammed a lot of the young singers, the groups. He had really done a job on them. My father went there and he told him that he wanted the record. And he told him he didn't know what he was talking about. I don't know everything my father said, but needless to say, he came back with the record and the contract. He told him he was going to sue him because he had taken, advantage of those boys. They hadn't signed a contract or anything. And he was playing the music. He was going to get paid for it. So that ended it, Boy.
Does anybody know what happened to the record?
No. Well, I don't know because I never asked Winston. Winston would be the only other person who would know.
That at some point, the brothers in the Cooper family got together and formed a singing group or just liked to sing. Is that fact or fiction?
Fact.
Fact.
We used to do a lot of singing around the house. Yeah.
So how did that come about?
I don't know. We just like to sing. And, harmonize, we used to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that in high school. Before class started. And this guy named, not Lloyd's last name, a girl named Martha, and we just sit there. I'm sounding good, too. Sounds good. We sit there before class started and sing, We just like to sing. Like to sing, right? And you know who else had oh God, I used to like to hear her sing. Your mama? Boy, she had a nice voice. She used to sing some of them songs while I just sitting there just listening. Dang. She should be singing some Christmas carol or something one day. I said, man, that sounds good. She can really sing. I can't sing.
But you were in the
some
group?
did, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, in the background, I was lead singer. some days I can sing, and some days my voice, it's like your horse almost or something.
It's because you overworked it.
So was it just the brothers? And were there all the brothers?
Well,
'Cause you were probably young at that time.
I was
Yeah,
too young to be a part of that.
Okay.
But as we got older, of course, we'd go to Winston's house or something, and we'd stand around the piano and sing, and Junior would be there, Don would be there. And once in a while, Ivy Lee would come over, and we'd all just be messing around.
Now, even then, like Ivy Lee, me, Junior, Bernard, we were still, even after we moved out of Pico, some of those, Mexican guys would be having, little dances up there in Brooklyn somewhere around there. And he go, hey man, you guys, we need you guys to sing for us. Yeah. So they, little handwritten contract. We'll give you guys $25, man. Yeah, we'll sing. Sang there. Nice, sounds good. We also had a date at Pasadena, what was that place? Not Playhouse. It was on Green Street. What was that place? Civic Auditorium, I believe. We sang over there. Mm-hmm. Then we had, we were supposed to have, this is even before Dootsy Williams. Oh.
That was Winston's buddy.
Oh,
His
Crooks,
favorite,
man.
his
Oh,
favorite promoter.
Crooks. Have us sign. Now in the first place, when you're 18, you can't sign no contract. We signed this thing. You get a penny a record. When you said, okay, you sign that. You ain't got no penny, no record though. There's another guy named Sammy Franklin. He had a band. He's over there off of Adams, just west of Vermont. Is that Raymond somewhere? That's where he was. He had this garage set up like. Mm-hmm. So we were over there saying, yeah, we're gonna put out this record. We recorded. The guy was having a little trouble with the beat. So I took his guitar and gave him the beat. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Back to it. And we had this recording session. And somebody said, man, we heard your record on some show Dolphins in Hollywood had. He said, it's around midnight. He said, we don't hear you guys sing. I said, what? I said, what are you talking about? So I sat up one night and listened. I said, man, that's my music. But the guy had edited out our voices and just didn't put the track in there. Using my little music, that's my theme song. One of these guys are nothing but crooks. But you're 18, 19 years. What do you know?
Right.
About the recording industry, a nasty industry to begin with. Mm-hmm. Talk about cutthroat.
So professionally, it was you, Don, Junior.
No, not Don.
Not Don. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Me and Junior, Ivy, and Bernard.
Bernard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Diane's husband.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bernard had the bass,
Yeah, he was the bass.
Right.
You used to be a guy, well,
Sleepy.
We had Sleepy because it was five of us then. He was standing there with his eyes closed singing. That was his name. We called him Sleepy.
They had quite a few people that grew up over there that actually made it in the entertainment industry. I think probably one of the bigger names was what's the boy's name?
Will I Am from Lisa.
Yeah, but he's probably the biggest one to come out of there. But what's the guy's name? H.B. Barnum was one, and the one that did Louie was Richard Berry.
Richard Berry, yeah.
All those guys came out with them. They went to school and stuff.
Don Julian, Fremont.
Yeah, Don Julian and the Metal Artists.
The Metal Artists, yeah. Heaven in paradise. Oh, remember that song? You know, remember that?
So what was the name of your group?
Oh, Junior came up with this name, the Antones. I don't know what an Antone is. Okay, it was the Antones.
And the song, and that's Charles about the song. As he might.
Well, I don't know what we were called then. Hashanika. Ayo say Hashanika.
It was funny.
Well, gentlemen, I thank you because that mystery is now solved.
So there was some singing going
It was
on.
the Antones.
Antones.
There's a record out there somewhere that doesn't have your voice on it.
Edited it out. Yeah, growing up Cooper, oh Jesus.